Uh-oh. A little stumble there. When it comes to getting gas, you have two types of people. You have the first person who's hit half a tank of gas and they're looking for a gas station. The other half is gonna drive until that needle is buried below E before they even start to look. Now, we've always had a gas gauge in our car, and that gas gauge basically has a float and tells us how much fuel is in the tank. Now, more recently, we've gotten gas lights on our dash. So you have a gauge, but you have an additional light that's gonna basically tell you when you hit low fuel, 50 to 25 miles, depending on the manufacturer. More recently, Ford has taken that a step further with DTE, or distance to empty. Now it actually calculates, based on the fuel in your driving, how many miles you have to go to empty all the way down to 0. So is DTE actually accurate? Well, let's find out. So before we try it out, let's explain how DTE works. It's basically a simple calculator built into your car's computer. It looks at how much fuel is left in the tank, it looks at your driving style, basically how many miles you drive, how fast you drive, and then it does a calculation on how many miles you have to go. Now obviously there's a lot of variables that can affect this. You can have wind, elevation, the load of your vehicle, how you drive. So basically what it usually does is takes a clip of about your last 30 miles and uses that to figure out how you're gonna go. Now of course, if you go drag racing your car, or in our case, we took Smoke Show down to Ford Fest a couple years ago and we drifted all day. So we left the parking lot and our DTE was a mess. We basically filled the tank immediately and it showed like 90 miles to go, which is like 6 miles per gallon. But as soon as we hit the highway and started driving, the calculation fixed itself and it went back to normal. So basically, is it accurate? You know, some people really trust it, some people really don't, but there's one way to find out. So as you mentioned, it's Friday, and Friday is when we kind of tend to do more of the, we'll call them the fun videos, kind of outside the normal videos. You know, we've done road tests of vehicles and fun stuff like that, and I'm not gonna say running out of gas is fun, because it absolutely isn't, but when you do it in a controlled environment and you have a chase vehicle behind you that has fuel in it, well, you know, for science it is kind of fun to see. And a lot of us have often wondered, it's, you know, we drive these cars a lot, and you know, how far can you go on E? And we are not suggesting you do this. You know, don't do this at home, don't drive and, you know, running your car dry like this, if you're not careful, you can hurt your fuel pump, you can damage your car, and if you're stuck in the middle of nowhere at night and you're out of gas, you don't want to do that. So what we're saying is, you know what, we're gonna do it for you. So if you get in that emergency situation, you may have an idea of how far you can really go until you need to get gas. Now we all have, you know, the whole video team's kind of involved in this. We've been taking guesses, anywhere from 15 to 30 has been the ongoing guess. Right now we are at 1 mile to empty, according to the dash. So by the time we get out to the main road here, we're on a little backcountry road right now where our studio is, but we have a 4-lane, you know, 55-mile-an-hour road we're gonna go out to and drive on. So being highway, we'll probably get a little further than you would like running around on back roads. But yeah, we're at 1 mile to go, so let's see how far this thing can actually go on empty. Yeah, running out of gas sucks, and usually it happens at like the worst possible time, and you just hit 0 miles to go. So I've never done it on a Mustang before, so I was curious when you hit 0. I did it once in a truck, but I didn't really remember. It doesn't give you any kind of crazy bells or whistles or anything go off. I will mention on the newer ones, I think it's only the 21 and up, but if you do this and you run out of fuel, it literally will actually click your navigation and show you where all the gas stations are, which is actually kind of a cool feature Ford does. It does that, I think, when you hit 50. It says, you know, would you like to see gas stations? If you hit yes, the navigation actually turns on and shows you where gas stations are, which is, you know, pretty cool. We're gonna do pretty well mileage-wise. Like I said, we're currently coasting. I mean, we're doing below the speed limit because we're behind a FedEx truck, but I'm afraid to pass him because I don't want to like run out of gas mid-pass in the middle of the highway. Granted, we can coast to the side of the road, but yeah, having taken this car on a bunch of road trips, the 10-speed, you know, this thing is good on gas. This is a non-performance pack, so it has the lower gears. And this will get regularly like mid to upper 20s and even 30 if you're not real heavy on the throttle. Yeah, the Coyote is a pretty amazing engine. Even some of the crazier ones, you put like a big blower on them, you know, throw a Vortec or, you know, Roush blower, Whipple, whatever on them, and you can still get north of 20 on the highway like all day long. So the road we're on is actually Route 22, and this will run, I think it's about 25 miles, and then it hits Interstate 78. So if we actually make it to 78, we're gonna turn around to stay on 22, kind of keep like the same mileage and same speed going. Yeah, normally if you're traveling somewhere, seeing that the 0 to go would create a ridiculous amount of anxiety, at least for me it would. I mean, even getting down, when my cars and trucks get down to like 20, 25 to empty, I'm looking for gas. Like, I don't like to go much below that. Seeing 0 and actually trying to get somewhere, I mean, the gas gauge literally is just a red line. There's nothing on it at all. This would induce a lot of anxiety if you weren't doing it for science, but we are, so we're cool. Like I said, we have a chase vehicle and we have fuel, and the road we're on is not a very busy one either, so pulling over is not a problem at all. Because I think we're at 5 miles, so if you're on the highway somewhere, if you run out of gas, we know you can make it at least 5 miles. I ran out of gas twice. I ran out of gas once in my 68 Mustang because the gas gauge was an estimate at best. And I ran out of gas in my 96 Cobra because I was late for an appointment and thought, oh, I could probably make it. I was wrong. Yeah, I have friends that drive around on like 5 miles to go near empty all the time. I don't know how they do it. My anxiety would be through the roof. It would drive me nuts. I would have to fill them up. Which is funny. We have an ongoing joke in the studio that we think it's just going to run forever, which would be hysterical. We'll have spent all day Friday driving around trying to burn up fuel when we left the building with like 1 mile to go. We have distance to empty on fuel. Theirs is the same way. It's on battery. But the nice thing with us, it's like, okay, yeah, we run out of gas, we put some more gas in, we go. It's like the guy in front of us, if he freaking runs out, he's got to, I guess, have somebody show up with a generator who can charge the car. I don't know anybody with an electric vehicle who's actually run out of battery power yet, so I'm curious what the process is, but I would think that, yeah, you would probably have to have someone bring power to you, a power bank or a generator or something that you can plug your car in and just try to get a few miles so you can make it to a real charger. Now, what I mentioned before about not trying this at home is, so basically, your EFI system, you have a fuel pump in the tank, and if you run out of fuel, that pump is trying to basically, it starts heating up. A little stumble there. Wow. .6 miles. We were all wrong. So there you have. Well, we can say we coasted to 12.7, but we are out of gas. It is way less than I thought. Wow, I would have definitely thought 20 plus for sure. I did not think we'd hit this, but there you have it. End of test, 12.7 miles. So if you drive one of these and you get to 0, take it seriously.